Listening to a podcast the other day I wanted to share with you because as a parent it was very profound to me, but it's also something that can apply to you. Now, you may know this, that as a human being we tend to be motivated by one of two things. We seek pleasure or we avoid pain, right? Which one of those two things do you think is the stronger? Seeking pleasure or avoiding pain?
Avoiding pain.
Avoiding pain, absolutely. I'm going to turn on the other mic real quick. Avoiding pain, yeah, we will do anything we can to avoid pain. Now that's important because as you were growing up, people would tell you things like, oh my gosh, you're such a good gymnast, right? Or you're so good at basketball, or you're such a good artist. And so what did you naturally do? You moved to those things, right? And you began to identify yourself as someone who was good at X, math, or not, right? In my case. And so I was not a natural mathlete, and so I never identified myself that way, so I avoided math. Why? Because math equaled pain, right? Anybody else have a similar experience in life?
Oh.
Absolutely. What's that?
Math is pain.
Math is pain, or that we say, right? Good.
Watermelon.
Watermelon is pain?
Watermelon has made me sick and I don't eat it anymore.
Well, that seems like a right choice. That does, yeah.
It was a contest, a watermelon eating contest.
There you go.
It was great and it ruined me for life.
That would do it. Yeah, I guess so. But, so, yeah, Stevie.
I was just going to say, in a religious sense, that's something that we avoid the things that, or we go towards what we want rather than like the harder things that God wants us to do.
Right. When we feel challenged, sometimes we avoid the challenge because the challenge makes me self-examine. Right. And we see this over and over and over again. Now, what's fascinating is you would think that if you were a kid who was good at math, and everyone told you, wow, you're naturally talented at math, that would mean that you would achieve higher in math. And the actual reality is you don't. You actually begin to achieve at a lower level when they tell you you're good at it, because when it starts to get hard, we start to feel like failure. Why am I not good at this anymore, right? Now, that's interesting stuff. We avoid what makes us feel not good or what makes us feel like a failure. But what they found is young people, or even adults, who receive affirmation that doesn't have to do with a natural inborn talent, but with their ability to work hard, consistently outperform and out-achieve other people. And so it makes sense too, right? Because if I struggle with something, but I'm told I'm a hard worker, then the struggle just reinforces the thing I'm good at, right? So if I'm training for a marathon, right? They say love the pain, right? Why? Because it's not about the get to the marathon. It's about the process. It's about the hard work, and I win because I'm working, right? Now, how can that apply to us in real estate? Well, if you're good at working hard, you can accomplish anything. Right? If your mindset is my superpower is I'm an incredibly hard worker, I'm the person who puts my head down, I'm the person who achieves against all odds, then it doesn't matter what the odds are stacked against you, you're going to keep running at them, right? And that person will win time and time and time again, right? Eric?
I recently read it a slightly different way. I've got this hobby to do with personal development, especially with my recent challenges.
Yep.
But it showed positive people achieve more than so-called realists, not because they're better at anything. It's actually the realists often are better at something, but they look at it and go, oh, well, I wasn't that good, and they quit.
Mm-hmm.
Positive people go, oh, well, I can keep doing better, and they just keep going.
They keep doing better. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, and again, I always go to the physical sort of fitness part of this because I think it's an easy metaphor. But if you're on a hike and your legs start to burn, and that registers as, oh yeah, I'm in it now, then what do? You keep pushing, right? The burn signals, yeah, the work is happening. Good things are happening, right? If you adopt this mentality in your lead generation, right, the burn begins to be the signal that it's working. You lean into it. And so that mantra of, oh, I don't like making calls, we got to throw that one out. We have to say, I love the struggle, right? I love the process. I love the work. You fall in love with the work, then you can't be stopped. But if you love the result, what happens when you get the result? You're done, right? So that's a challenge to us always. So what I want you to do just for a second, and you guys have pens. Great, I love that. We should do a game that involves pens every week. Take a note real quick. And I want you just to kind of self-identify for a moment your mantras, right? Your repetitive phrases. And I say lead generation, you have a repetitive phrase around that. I say go make some phone calls, you have a repetitive phrase around that. It's either I love it or I hate it, right? What are some of morning people? This is one of the, we have repetitive mantras around waking up, right? For me, it's like, I love sleeping, right? I do. I don't like mornings. I've told myself I'm not a morning person. Yet I can look at periods in my life where I was a 5 a.m. person and think I loved that, right? Right? So what are the things that you are reinforcing in yourself? What are the stories you're telling yourself for? What are the things you tell yourself you're good at? Right now, write those down. What are the things you tell yourself you're good at? No. Isidro brought the box of pens in, so yeah. Perfect. I love that I asked you to write down the things that you think you're good at, and the room got quiet, and you're still writing. I love that, right? That shows a confidence. It shows that you've had good, support around you in a lot of areas. I want you to switch gears now, and I want you to change, though, to write down a list of the things that you would say you're not good at. Reels, yeah. I hope this list doesn't go on forever. Things I'm not good at.
You know what?
I know, mine was very short. So here's what I want you to do. Pause for a second, because we're not going to get encyclopedic with this, but I want you to just acknowledge a couple things. As you look at the list of the things you hold yourself good at, there has to be an acknowledgement that the reason you're good at it is you worked at it, right? I'm good at basketball. You weren't when you started. Even if people told you you were, you weren't. I've seen it happen. Trust me, I've coached kids basketball. Even the great ones are bad, right? There's nothing you're good at that you didn't have to be bad at first. You might have had a little talent, right? But you still sucked, right? There's nothing you're good at that you didn't have to be bad at first. And what made you good wasn't the talent, but it was the work. I did the work, and the work gave me the confidence. And because I had the confidence, I did more work. And then the work stopped feeling like work because I loved the work, right? Yes, Mary?
This morning, I did a video about that.
I love it.
On my Instagram, and it was about running.
Yeah.
I remember when I joined the military, it was like, I couldn't run for 2 minutes straight. It was just like, oh my gosh, I used to hate it with a passion. And you have to take a 2-mile exam run, like run it in a period of time. Like if you took 1 more second over, you fail.
Ooh.
So I would pass by like 2 seconds, like right there. And I was always like, oh my gosh, I hate this. And then I'm like, no, I need to change that. Like, and I would see people running outside and enjoying it. I'm like, gosh, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And then now, it's like, I love it. That's my, like, when I run in the morning, like today I ran like a little bit over 4 miles and I felt great. And it's a great way for me to start the day.
Yeah.
But yes, I went through that pain and I had to work at it, and then you get to the other side where now you enjoy it.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Well, you learn to love the work. right? Because the pain tells me I'm getting stronger. The pain tells me I'm getting closer. The pain tells me I'm moving forward, right? And so there's not, like I said, there's nothing that you are good at that you weren't bad at, right? We tend to avoid, as adults, as a child, this was never an issue for you because you were learning everything, right? We didn't necessarily avoid the things that made us feel bad until someone taught us to feel bad, right? That happens early on. Our challenge as adults, particularly as professionals now, is all of that has been ingrained in us, right? And as a real estate agent, we are constantly learning. We're constantly adapting. We're constantly doing things that make us uncomfortable, that cause us to feel not good at things. Because I don't care how good you are at lead generation, you don't have 100% good calls, right? If you're doing cold calls or door knocking, not every single one of those is a good interaction, right? It doesn't, if you do a number of transactions, you realize not everyone lands the plane softly on the tarmac. Some of them come down hard, right? And it makes you go, oh, I'm not good at this. And we shy away from it. But if you can adopt the attitude that says, yeah, I'm the hardest worker, right? I'm the one who gives the most effort. I'm the one who goes above and beyond, and that's how I define myself. Then what you will find is you are able to achieve more, and you're able to achieve more consistently than the people who think they're good at it. Does that make sense? Anyway, so that's my thoughts today. You can choose. So how do we do this? How do we choose to do that? We talk about writing things down. We talk about affirmations. You call them mantras. Call them whatever you want. What if you adopted just a daily practice for the next 60 days, 66-day challenge to say, I'm the hardest working person in this business. I love the struggle, right? And you just wrote down, I love the struggle of becoming something new. I love the struggle of becoming something new. I love the struggle of lead generation. And you just reinforce that in yourself. What happens is you begin to adopt that. Your identity begins to change. It's called neuroplasticity, right? You are not done yet. With intentional effort, you can actually change the way you see yourself, and that can change your reality completely. So I'm going to leave you with that thought for today. Take a second, write down one commitment you've got coming out of this. What's something you'll take from this teaching today and apply towards your business, apply towards your life. I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that, and we'll move on with today's meeting. Actually, I'm just going to leave that one. I'm going to go turn off the body mic and go to the overhead mic. So.